Buyer beware. I'm posting this through a botnet, so don't even think about getting cute and trying to find me. I've got enough trouble with people finding me as it is. It all started a few months ago when I found a good source of amphetamines on a deep web marketplace I won't name. I live in a town so small and bland that even local high school kids don't bother selling drugs. It's boring as sin here, which is one of the reasons I started ordering speed online in the first place. I was always very cautious. I tumbled my bitcoins carefully and ensured that every transaction was well encrypted. Yes, before you even ask, the proxies I used were fully configured and trustworthy ones. It wasn't the technology that failed me at all, actually. It was a single mistake in judgment. To a single trusted seller, I gave my real physical address. At first, I was only getting small packages for my personal use, so it was easy to have them delivered to my house of an old woman who lives nearby. Her live-in nurse consistently checked the mail very late in the day, so there was never as much of an issue in retrieving the speed before it was noticed. But my habit grew, and I began to introduce my close friends to the drugs, so eventually I contacted my seller about ordering much larger quantities, and enough for me to sell locally. We began to work like business partners in a supply chain, and I was placing substantial orders regularly. The speed originally came to me in small padded envelopes, but now it would have to be shipped in a larger cardboard box. The envelopes always fit easily inside a mailbox, but a box like this would have to be delivered to the front door. I couldn't have my mailman walking up a stranger's walkway to ring the doorbell, so I requested the speed start being sent directly to me. I knew by this point that the seller was a legitimate, reliable source, so trusting him with my address just seemed safer than the alternative. We had become something like casual friends by this point, and began to do things together like frequent the same deep website communities, and chat if we were both online. My seller was wickedly funny sometimes, and really seemed to be a nice guy. I guess that's part of why I trusted him, but then again, it's not his fault about what happened. Recently, though, I got a totally unsatisfactory shipment. The pressed pills looked right at first, but tasted like bitter flour and were far too brittle. They produced no high at all. I had been stiffed, and when I checked the marketplace, I found that my seller's accounts had been closed out. He left no messages to explain it either. I assumed that he just ripped me off, but it also didn't seem like something he would do. I wondered if I had misjudged him. Yesterday, I noticed that one of his accounts was actively posting on one of the small community forums that we frequented together. I contacted him immediately in a private message and asked whether he knew about his last batch was complete bunk. It took about 25 minutes before I got any response, but suddenly the messages began pouring in. Seller's account. The person you're trying to contact has passed away. Sorry. Seller's account. He's such a homebody that nobody has knocked on his door the whole time I've been there. Seller's account. 3 whole weeks with no visitors? Seller's account. Isn't that funny? Seller's account. I'm almost done eating him. I wasted very little soft tissue. Seller's account. He had almost no food in the house when I killed him, so I didn't even need to clear out the fridge to store his meat. Seller's account. I haven't even needed to take out the trash yet. Seller's account. Isn't that sort of funny? Seller's account. I've been poking around his computer too. Seller's account. Going through his files is like solving a puzzle cube. Seller's account. But I'm making progress. I wrote back and accused him of taking a weird joke too far. I told him that he at least owed me an explanation for the last shipment. Seller's account. They're bone meal. Seller's account. You never smelled bone meal? Seller's account. Did you never have a garden as a kid or something? Seller's account. I thought that'd be obvious. Seller's account. His skeleton was the only thing I hadn't figured out what to do with yet. Seller's account. I realized that I could solve that issue and play a little prank. Seller's account. Come on. Don't you think that's a funny idea? There was a brief pause, and then another short volley of messages appeared before I could form my response. You know, you actually don't live too far away from where I am. Seller's account. Judging by the address I have here, you and this guy are just over the state line from each other. Seller's account. Isn't that something? Seller's account. Well, be seeing you. What do you think? It's probably just a scheme to scare me off, right? Right?